I was adopted, but no one ever told me. I used to think my family was just different. Not bad, just different. My parents were kind, but they always seemed nervous around me. Every birthday, my mom cried before blowing out the candles. Every school event, my dad looked at me with this strange mix of pride and guilt. As a kid, I thought all parents were like that. I was wrong. My name is Emma, and until I was 17, I believed I knew exactly who I was. Then one rainy Saturday changed everything. It started with something incredibly ordinary. My parents were cleaning the attic. Mom asked me to carry down a dusty cardboard box labeled Old Papers. The bottom of the box suddenly gave way. Folders scattered across the floor. Report cards, tax documents, family photos. Then, one sealed envelope. Across the front, in faded handwriting, were 4 words. For Emma, one day. I smiled. Maybe it was a birthday letter. Maybe a family memory. I opened it. Inside was a legal document. At the top, in bold letters, it read, Certificate of Adoption. I stared at it for what felt like forever. My name, my birthday, the names of my parents, the words adoptive mother, adoptive father. I laughed. It had to be fake. Some joke. Some paperwork mistake. But then I noticed the signatures. The official stamp. The date. Everything was real. My hands began shaking. My mom walked into the room. She saw the paper. Her face turned completely white. She whispered only one word. Emma. That was all I needed to hear. I wasn't imagining it. My whole life had just split into 2 parts. Before that moment, and after it, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I simply asked one question. Why? Silence filled the room. Dad slowly sat down. Mom started crying immediately. Neither of them answered. Finally, Dad spoke. We wanted to tell you. When? When you were older. I am older. We never found the right time. 17 years. And there was never a right time? I walked out of the house without another word. For the first time in my life, I felt like a stranger inside my own family. The next few weeks were awful. Every memory suddenly felt fake. Every family photo looked like a lie. Every hug felt rehearsed. My friends noticed something was wrong. I told nobody. How could I? I didn't even know who I was anymore. One night I searched through every drawer in the house. I wanted answers. Instead, I found another envelope. Inside was a tiny hospital bracelet. It didn't say Emma. It said, Baby Grace. Who is Grace? Was that my real name? What else had they hidden? I confronted my parents again. This time they told me everything. Or at least, that's what I thought. They explained that they couldn't have children. After years of trying, they adopted me when I was only 6 months old. They said they loved me from the very first moment. They never saw me as anything other than their daughter. But they were terrified. Terrified that one day I'd leave them to find my real family. So they kept the adoption secret. They believed they were protecting me. Instead, they broke my trust. For months, I barely spoke to them. Graduation came. Everyone celebrated. I smiled in photos. Inside, I felt empty. Then, on my 18th birthday, another letter arrived. No return address. Inside was only one sentence. If you ever want to know the truth, call me. There was also a phone number. I stared at it all night. Finally, I called. A woman answered. Her voice trembled. Hello, I said. I think you know who I am. She started crying. Immediately. Her name was Sarah. She said she was my biological mother. We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe. I expected someone glamorous. Or mysterious. Instead, she looked exhausted. Like someone who had carried sadness for years. She apologized before she even sat down. She explained that she had been only 16 when she became pregnant. Her parents forced her to give me up. She searched for me for years. But the adoption was closed. She had no idea where I was. Until recently. She handed me a photo. It showed a teenage girl holding a newborn baby. Me. For the first time. I saw someone whose smile looked exactly like mine. I wanted to hate her. I really did. But I couldn't. She hadn't abandoned me. She had been forced to let me go. There was a huge difference. Still, something didn't add up. She kept avoiding one subject. My father. Whenever I asked, she changed the topic. That made me suspicious. A few weeks later, I decided to investigate myself. I took a DNA test, mostly out of curiosity. I expected maybe a few distant cousins. Instead, the results shocked me. I had an older brother. 99.9% match. Older. By 2 years. I froze. Sarah had never mentioned him. Why? I called her immediately. She burst into tears again. Then she confessed. I was afraid. Afraid of what? The truth. She had never had just one child. She had two. My brother had been allowed to stay with our grandparents. I was the one given away. I asked the obvious question. Why me? She couldn't answer. Finally, her father had. He believed girls were harder to raise. So he insisted I be adopted. Just because. I was born a girl. My heart shattered. For years I believed nobody wanted me. Now I discovered. Someone had simply decided I mattered less. Months later, I met my brother. His name was Daniel. We looked almost identical. Same eyes. Same laugh. Same habit of tapping our fingers when nervous. He had spent 18 years wondering if I even existed. We talked for 8 straight hours. It felt like finding a missing chapter of my own life. Slowly, I also repaired my relationship with my adoptive parents. They admitted they had made a terrible mistake by hiding the truth. I admitted that love wasn't erased by biology. Families can be built in different ways. But trust must always be earned. A year later, Dad gave me the same envelope I had found in the attic. The one labeled, "For Emma, one day." This time, there was another letter inside. He had written it the day they adopted me. It said, "We don't know if you'll ever forgive us for our mistakes. But from today forward, every heartbeat we have belongs to you. You were never our second choice. You were the answer to every prayer we ever made." I cried harder than I ever had before. Not because I had been adopted, but because I finally understood something. Being adopted wasn't the secret. Keeping it a secret was. Today, I have 2 families. One gave me life. The other taught me how to live. Neither relationship is perfect, but both are real. If I ever become a parent, I will never hide the truth from my child. Because love grows stronger in honesty, never in silence. And sometimes, the family you choose is just as important as the family you were born into. The end.